Fake smile.
Oh, look at this. Packed room. Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year.
It's so good to see everyone. Welcome back.
Lies.
2024, here we come. And with that, we are just 16 days away from parts of the government shutting down. 16 days away. 16.
She goes straight in on the Republicans.
Instead of doing their jobs, House Republicans left Washington in the middle of December, and they're not back until next week. The American people want Congress to work with the president to take care and work on real issues that matter in their lives.
So keeping Americans safe is not a real issue for the Biden administration.
But instead of entering this year with a new approach to deliver for the American people, House Republicans are prioritizing baseless impeachment stunts.
Do you mean baseless impeachment stunts on Mayorkas, United States Deputy Secretary of Homeland Security?
Joining me now is the Secretary of Homeland Security, Alejandro Mayorkas. Good morning, Mr. Secretary. I want to start right there. We heard the sheriff say it, the governor say it, and the migrants I spoke to say it. They are coming across because they believe they will be welcomed under the Biden administration. You said yourself 3 weeks ago, we're not saying don't come, we're saying don't come now. President Biden had a stronger message later, but the messages are mixed at best, Mr. Secretary.
Martha, good morning. The message is quite clear. Do not come. The border is closed. The border is secure.
In fact, earlier today, House Republicans said, and I quote, "We'll shut the government down. We control the money."
Yes, to keep Americans safe from President Biden's border disaster that he wants to keep open.
It's time for House Republicans to get serious, do their jobs, and deliver for the American people.
What? Not one Democratic senator, nor Kamala Harris or President Biden, has been to the border yet.
It shouldn't be hard to fund the government. It is truly their basic duty. So they should get to work.
No. The funding isn't going back into our government. It's going back into sponsoring and funding wars to other countries using Americans' taxpayers' money. Let's see who's working hard.
So I don't have a reaction for you at this time. I don't have anything at this time for you. As you don't have a list to share at this time. I don't have a list to provide to you at this time.
Elections.
I don't have any policies to announce or preview for you at this time.
What the hell?
What happened on January 6th was unprecedented.
So here is where she talks about January 6th, when President Trump was in office. Because Biden is now starting to campaign for the presidency again. They know President Trump is a powerful threat to the Biden campaign, and he wants another 4 years screwing the American people.
An attack on our core principles, an attack on our democracy. What we saw was an attack on our rule of law, attack on our Constitution. We saw the Confederate flag in the middle of the Capitol building. It was a terrifying and horrific day, and a dark day in our history, sadly. But I just don't have, as far as policy-wise and our strengthening our institutions, don't have anything to share at this time.
And that's the President Biden administration kickback to Republicans, especially President Trump.
As far as our policies for our institutions, announcing any new policy, I don't have anything just announced at this time. But he's done more in the first 3 years than presidents have done in the first 2 terms, or their first 2 terms, in their 2 terms of their presidency. And that nature that we're focusing on our veterans.
It isn't fair. These people, they're coming in and they're getting the cream of the crop. I don't think it's fair at all.
Here in New York, the migrant crisis.
100,000 migrants.
People seeking asylum are crammed together.
Controversial migrant shelter in Brooklyn.
New York Cop.
A rise in overdose deaths in New York City.
After a string of robberies and assaults, attackers under arrest.
Crime in the city.
Have arrived in New York City.
Frank Tamaro, and I'm 74 years old. 94. I'm satisfied where I am now. I was satisfied where I was until they threw me out. It was scary. I didn't know where I was going.
I'm Barbara Nunziata. I'm the daughter of Frank Tamaro, which was thrown out of Island Shores due to migrants. Island Shores is an independent living facility for seniors. He moved in. He was living there for 5 years, and they evicted him.
Focusing on getting fentanyl off the street.
I found him in his room.
I called his name and he didn't move.
Kevin, get up. Kevin, wake up.
In a minute I touched him, I knew he was gone.
And I just screamed, not my baby.
Fentanyl is killing more Texans than ever before.
They're passing them off as prescription drugs, Percocet, Adderall, Xanax, Oxy.
They'll post something onto Snapchat, just kind of like a fast food restaurant. They put their menu up.
You cannot tell the difference between a fake pill and a real pill.
They don't look like the medical emergencies we used to make. This is like anybody, everywhere.
It's gotta stop. It's gotta stop.
This is y'all's opportunity to learn what I wish I had known so that you don't end up like us. All it takes is one pill.
It was one pill. It was one pill that killed him.
One decision. One and done. One pill.
Last night the president said that he needed more money to protect the U.S. southern border. Give me the money.
Biden needs more money, but it's not going for border security or to build a wall.
Does he think it's a lack of money, a lack of funding that has led to the current situation at the border?
I mean, look, it's certainly there's a reason. Let me step back for a second. If you look at the national security supplemental that the president put forward, he put border security in there, right? Because he believes in order to get the work done at the border, we need more resources. DHS needs more resources. Our border patrol agents need more resources. We need more immigration judges. We need more resources to get this done. We need the technology at the border to deal with what's going on with migrants at the border. And last May, the Speaker and the Republicans in the House, they voted to get rid of 2,000 Border Patrol agents. I mean, that's their focus. So of course, that's not helpful. So we need the resources to actually do the work, and they keep getting in the way. House Republicans keep getting in the way of doing the work to deal with what we're seeing at the border. So they're obstructing. House Republicans are obstructing. That's what they're doing right now.
The money will be given to Mexico's president to keep the borders open.
The duty is to keep the government open. And
the borders.
A lot of this is diplomacy, right? A lot of it is having diplomacy. A lot of it is enforcement. I just laid out how last May, while DHS was starting to remove folks who were not here on a legal basis, you had House Republicans voting to get rid of 2,000, Border Patrol agents. That's what they were doing.
All lies.
The Biden administration decided to divert the flood of illegal immigrants to another location in order to keep them out of the camera shots during the House GOP's visit to Eagle Pass. Don't be fooled. They are still being released into our country. Under President Biden, our southern border is a disaster.
So we're trying to deal with the issue, and we get it. It ebbs and flows. Every year, we get it. We understand what's happening at the border. That's why there's negotiations happening on the Senate side with Republicans and Democrats to deal with this issue.
Dealing with the issue as the administration's also fighting to keep up, to remove razor wire along the border that is intended to keep, this surge lowered, to keep people out from crossing illegally.
Governor Abbott's razor wire does not prevent. It does not prevent non-citizens from unlawfully crossing. That's not what it does. Anything for you at this time?
We're hoping that some of our colleagues who don't share shut the government down or shut the border, we want them to see how real this is, because if you don't come down to the border, you don't know.
What is the administration doing right now to actually improve the crisis at the border?
We have House Republicans that's literally blocking the president's effort to do something. That's what they're doing. They're playing political games. they're doing political stunts. Literally, House Republicans themselves voted to decrease the amount of Border Patrol agents by 2,000. They're getting in the way and they don't want to help.
This is not about reaching a bipartisan compromise on immigration reform. There have been debates about that in the past. There'll be debates about that in the future. That's not what this debate's about. This is fundamentally a national security issue. This is about changes that need to be made to protect the homeland, to protect our southern border. And I hear it all the time when I'm back home in Montana, including this past weekend. We need to secure our southern border now. Everybody knows, and the stats show it, this border is a crisis of President Biden's own making. It is certainly his actions that have created this mess on the southern border. The question now is, will Senate Democrats going to get serious about solving the problem that President Biden has created? The record-breaking numbers continue every day, every week. You've heard them. What concerns me are the number of apprehensions made of those on the FBI's terror watch list from countries designated as state sponsors of terror. And just when we thought we'd heard the worst of it, here's one more story to build on why we need to solve the problem on the southern border. We just learned that the VA healthcare resources, the VA, are being used to facilitate healthcare to illegal migrants. Veterans have a hard enough time getting the care that they need, and now they have to compete with illegal immigrants? This will not fix the border crisis. Biden's border crisis puts illegal immigrants first. It puts our veterans last. You know, in Montana, we have the second highest per capita veteran population in the United States. This is a disservice to all those who have sacrificed and served our country. We as Republicans want to solve this problem. Joe Biden and Senate Democrats need to step up, get serious, and pass border security measures. The time is now. We need policy changes. It's about tightening asylum standards and reining in DHS's parole powers.
Just to be clear, how does the razor wire put Border Patrol agents at risk, Karine? The Biden administration themselves said that the agents have been cutting the wire to provide medical assistance to migrants or to apprehend migrants who have already crossed into U.S. territory.
Well, let me be more clear. It makes it more difficult. It actually makes it more difficult for Border Patrol to apprehend those who do cross.
In terms of flow and the threats that we're seeing with fentanyl and with the criminal organizations that are our adversary, it's about as bad as I've ever seen it.
Owens wants more agents and resources to help respond to the surge, hoping for something to change.
How sustainable is this, your ability to respond to this amount of people at the border?
This isn't sustainable. This is up and down the system. Everybody is overwhelmed.
And Chief Owens says that the more his agents have to focus on processing migrants, the less they can focus on what they should be doing, which is preventing things like drugs and bad actors from entering the country.
Right now, there's a new Republican House Speaker. President Biden hasn't had a one-on-one meeting with him yet. Many weeks have now passed. Is there any indication when that would happen, and what's precluding the president from saying, Speaker Johnson, come to the White House, let's sit down and talk about this?
So here's what I'll say to that. You have Speaker Johnson, who has been very clear where he stands on the border.
One thing is absolutely clear. America is at a breaking point with record levels of illegal immigration. And today, we got a firsthand look at the damage and the chaos the border catastrophe is causing in all of our communities. The situation here and across the country is truly unconscionable. We would describe it as both heartbreaking and infuriating. Our communities are overrun. We have local resources that are being strapped. We have lethal drugs that are pouring into our country at record levels. And it's in less than 3 years that President Biden took office that this has happened. That we have over 7 million illegal encounters at the border, nearly 2 million known gotaways, and that doesn't count the many that are undetected. 312 suspects on the terrorist watch list that have been apprehended. We have no idea how many terrorists have come into the country and set up terrorism cells across the nation. Last month alone, we saw the most illegal crossings in recorded history. It is an unmitigated disaster, a catastrophe. And what's more tragic is that it's a disaster of the president's own design.
Right, who has continues with the House Republicans to make this a political issue and to move forward with political stunts, and has blocked any efforts for the president to deal with the border. That's what we've seen. That is what we've seen from the speaker.
Touring this area, and not far from them, there are lots of migrants who are crossing over that open area in the barbed wire, which the Biden White House wants removed, that is protecting some of these areas and making it at least a little more difficult for people to cross. It is quite something to see.